Aloha and welcome to Your ALS Connection, a show dedicated to bringing you the most current, cutting-edge information about ALS. I'm your host, Kahala Howser, Director of Community Outreach and Signature Events with the ALS Association Golden West Chapter. We are here to provide resources and personalized care management to people with ALS and their families, and help them develop a network of resources and support. By collaborating and partnering with others who share our vision, the chapter is able to better serve people with ALS and their families live fuller lives. What happens when a person hears the words, "You have ALS"? Our first guest today is Jeff Conway. He's a veteran of the U.S. Navy who lives here in Hawaii with his wife and daughter. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Colin.
We'd also like to invite Taryn Davis to join us. She's our care manager of the ALS Association Golden West Chapter. And we work together every day to support people with ALS and their families, including our heroes who have served in the military. Taryn is our direct contact with families here in Hawaii, and there are patients living with ALS. Thanks for joining us today, Taryn.
Thanks, Kahala.
Jeff, could you tell us a little bit about your career and who you are and what you've done here?
Sure. Entered the Navy in 1992. After training, I moved out to Hawaii for my first tour. Was stationed at Barbers Point and came out in 1996. Spent 12 years on active duty. I got out in 2004, joined the reserves and took a job with a management consulting company, living and working here in Hawaii.
Fantastic. When were you diagnosed with ALS and what were the symptoms?
So my symptoms started in the summer of 2011 with muscle fasciculations, twitching, but it wasn't until January of 2014 where symptoms were leading towards a diagnosis. I was diagnosed in March of 2014.
Okay. What was the process in order to be officially diagnosed?
Well, for everyone, it's different. And for me, it was a process, really a process of elimination. So saw multiple doctors, several trips to the mainland where I was diagnosed at the Mayo Clinic. But it was a matter of time for the symptoms to progress and signs of muscle weakness to be evident. And so that's, for me, it took, again, a little bit less than 3 years for that process to work itself out.
Wow. For reasons we have yet to learn, the military veterans have increased risk for developing ALS. Studies supported by the Department of Defense, Department of Veteran Affairs, National Institutes of Health, Harvard University, and the Institute of Medicine, among others, repeatedly have found that military veterans, regardless of branch or era of service, are approximately twice as likely to be diagnosed with ALS as those who have not served. Had you known about this connection between ALS and the military service?
I didn't know, and even after I was diagnosed, I didn't know.
What impact did learning this information have on you?
Well, it kind of helped to determine what was in the realm of possible when it comes to benefits in healthcare, but it opened up a door to benefits that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So the VA, was a hard place to get into a couple of years ago, but the healthcare has been fantastic. So I'm really lucky to have those benefits.
Thank you. As a military aviator, you practiced and you trained, and you were trained to think ahead and to plan ahead and to be prepared for whatever was around there, the unknowns. You had to be prepared for whatever might be around the corner. With a diagnosis such as ALS, the rug gets pulled out from under you. What did you do to learn more about ALS?
Well, the thought process was the same, right? To learn more about ALS, I connected with the ALS Association. I met with Taryn. And helped me learn a little bit more about the progression, things I needed to take care of. I think with anything else, the thought process is the same, where you had to focus on what's important in preparing things for family, taking care of estate planning, financial planning, those kind of things. So it just accelerated the need to do a lot of that.
All right. Was there anyone there to help guide you through this process?
So yes, there were, but I didn't know about them. So it wasn't really until I connected with the Veteran Service Organization that I understood there were people that could help me work with the VA, process through benefits, get in the healthcare system as well. So there were, but I wasn't aware.
So it was a little bit of a search for you.
It was.
Okay. Well, let's switch gears here for a minute and talk about advocacy and ALS awareness. You've made your focus on learning all that you can about ALS and sharing your knowledge and creating more awareness. What are some of the things that our viewers could do?
You know, with any other, similar cause, for a lot of folks, they don't understand what ALS is. Everyone's heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge. They might have participated in it. They're not really sure why. But getting to know people in their community and their families that are affected by ALS helps them make a personal tie. So spreading that awareness with family and friends through the media or elected officials will help those people in the community that need services get the support that they need.
Okay. Taryn,
Yes.
let's switch it over. Let's get you in here.
Sure.
The ALS Golden West chapter is working every day to support people with ALS and their families, including our heroes who have served in the military.
Yeah.
Can you share the criteria for being considered a veteran?
Sure. So veterans who are qualified for ALS benefits 100% when they have ALS, they need to have 90 days continuous active duty. And it doesn't matter where you served or when you served. And also it doesn't matter the time between diagnosis and the time of discharge. So 90 days continuous active duty. Is there anything else you can think of, Jeff?
No, I think that's it. That's as long as you've served more than 90 days on active duty, you qualify.
Yep.
And ALS is a diagnosis that gives a 100% service-connected disability rating, from which the benefits from the VA, they flow. So at different levels, you're entitled to different benefits. So that's the distinction that gives veterans with ALS these benefits.
Why is it important to apply for these benefits early?
It's important to apply early because it takes time.
Yes.
There's an accelerated process for veterans with ALS, but it'll take a few months, 3 to 4 months, from the time you start till the time your claim is adjudicated.
And then I'm going to add a little bit. And then with ALS, it sometimes can move pretty fast. So the sooner you get your paperwork in, the sooner the doctor lets you know that, or anybody tells you you have VA benefits, the sooner you can get help.
It's great to know. Thank
I
you.
think one thing to add, every veteran is eligible for VA health care. So you can always go ask for a VA healthcare appointment. In order to get benefits, you have to apply through the Veterans Benefit Administration side of the VA. So you don't need to do that before going to the healthcare side. You can do both at the same time.
There's 2 applications.
That's good to know. Thanks for sharing that. What chapter resources, Taryn, are available to veterans who are facing ALS?
So we have a great website that lists a lot of help and information for our veterans on where to go to if they have questions, and benefits that are current. Because it changes, the VA changes the benefits as time goes on, actually adds to it, thank goodness. So you can go to our website, and also we also have support groups and bridge our veterans to each other so that they can share their stories.
Fantastic. Jeff, navigating through the system with the VA, you were familiar with government protocols and processes. Did you know that you would have to be focused on finding out what your benefits are on a full-time basis?
I knew that there would be a process of discovery. And again, after I learned about those benefits and connected with the Veteran Service Organization, it helped lay out those steps much further. So there is some discovery along the way. There's a lot of information out there that you have to make sense of, but there are people to help.
Okay, thank you. In talking to you, you've often referred to yourself as lucky. I appreciate your positive attitude. You have said that just in conversation, how lucky you are. How has being a veteran living with ALS made you feel lucky?
Lucky in the sense that, certainly I served on active duty and am entitled to VA benefits, but there are benefits that I receive to the VA that will make it easier for me and my family to stay here in Hawaii, right? So for families and people that have ALS that don't have VA benefits, there are immense challenges in working through healthcare system and Medicare to get the support they need. So for that reason, I think I'm lucky that I'm a veteran.
Okay, thank you. Taryn, you help both veterans and civilians who are living with ALS. You facilitate different ALS support groups throughout Hawaii, one of which is for veterans. Could you share what these meetings mean to our families?
So it's a place, a safe place where families can share information, what works, what doesn't work, what vendors are available and helpful, what equipment is good and what isn't so good, you know, how to cope with hard times. It's a bridge that and a commonality that they can share and bond together, and we end up being an ALS Ohana because we all share a common thing.
Well, I think, Jeff, for you, part of that network is not just on Oahu, correct?
Correct.
Do you
There are
reach
veterans.
out?
Yeah, there are veterans that are on the Big Island and Maui and Kauai. So, you know, I've connected with some to help understand, you know, the challenges they've had in going through certain processes and working with the VA. And, you know, I've had a chance to meet a couple of them. So, you know, it's great to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Changing the subject a little bit here, I just wanted to share that we are so proud of what we have been able to achieve here in 2015 and inspired by more opportunities than ever before to advance the search for new treatments and a cure for ALS. Joining us to share more is Fred Fisher, President and CEO of the Golden West Chapter.
Hi everyone, it's Fred Fisher, President and CEO of the ALS Association Golden West Chapter, here to say thank you so much for making 2015 a fantastic year.
A typical day in my life is different. Getting on my feet's a little tougher. It is to a point where I need a lot of help.
My husband was diagnosed with ALS last May.
When he was first diagnosed, I explained the services. He enrolled with us. We typically will do home visits, help people get into clinics. Practical needs, emotional support that would be beneficial in helping them live better with ALS. By increasing our care services hours, so that means we can have more contact with the patients in the community.
With this kind of an illness, that's absolutely essential to have that resource.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the ALS Association for sponsoring this event.
As you know, ALS is a very complex disorder. It's complex biologically, clinically, socially, and that really takes a certain type of care model to treat it effectively.
We also are very aware that this disease affects not just the person who has the disease, but the people around them.
So this is an important meeting every year, the fifth one that we've had, and it's really a group of researchers in California and that get together with the clinicians in California. And this year, thanks to Steve Finkbein and the Gladstone Institute, we've really drawn in the business people, the industry as well.
And genes are for us clues as to how we might think of treating the disease.
No one believed this strategy could work. And it was the ALS Association that put in the seed funding, then paid for the original preclinical toxicology to get to trial. My thanks to them for allowing us the opportunity to develop this.
And Don mentioned the Neurocollaborative, which is something that Don and Clive and I are working on together to do exactly that.
Dodger fans, I'm Nancy O'Dell.
And I'm Kevin Frazier. All right, now let's toss it over to your Dodger Stadium pregame show host.
Go Blue!
Let's check out Dodger Vision as they took the Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS. Kike wearing his banana shirt, of course.
They did it earlier today, and they're such good sports for helping out.
This is you. I love you a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
This belongs to all of those people around the world battling ALS.
And finally, to our filmmakers, Wash Westmoreland and Richard Glatzer, who had hoped to be here tonight, but they can't because of Richard's health. When Richard was diagnosed with ALS, Wash asked him what he wanted to do. Did he want to travel? Did he want to see the world? And he said that he wanted to make movies, and that's what he did.
Everyone at ALS Golden West who've been so wonderful and supportive over the last few years.
It's quite terrifying to try to represent this kind of world.
Let us hope that that same spirit of human curiosity will one day deliver a cure for ALS.
Ultimate vision, a world without ALS.
When you support the Golden West chapter, you're supporting an entire system designed to find an effective treatment and cure, and we can't do it without you. Remember, it is only together that we can defeat ALS.
Tell us a bit more about that experience.
Sure. We set up a team, and even as veterans with the benefits we receive, recognize the importance of helping spread awareness in the community. So establish a team and was fortunate enough to have family and friends from childhood all the way through college to people I worked with in my most recent job join the team, and as a group go out and raise funds through our networks, again, to help raise money for expanding services here in Hawaii. So we had a great time. In the very end, I think we had about close to 30 people that walked with us that day in the park, and I think it was a success. Everybody had a good time, and I think we met our goal in helping spread awareness in the community. I had a chance to reach out to a local news affiliate and talk to them about ways that we can spread awareness in the community. So everyone was very receptive, very helpful, and I think it was a success.
Fantastic. In sharing your story, you reached out to coworkers, you reached out to friends, you reached out to childhood friends. How does educating the public help the ALS community?
Well, in educating them and understanding what ALS is, how it affects people's lives, the challenges that they face in getting the support and services that they need, whether it's through the VA or through private health care or Medicare, and helping them resolve those challenges. I think it's good for local leaders and our elected officials to kind of understand what the local community is dealing with. So it gives us an opportunity every year to kind of bring it back to the forefront. Definitely an ALS Awareness Month in May, and then we're fortunate to have the walk again in September of this year.
I'd like to add on to that, if I may. Another thing why it's so important to bring ALS to the forefront is because people are getting diagnosed really late in the game. Sometimes it's stage 3 or stage 4. A lot of people are getting diagnosed. So they have this whole time of not having a diagnosis. So the more we talk about it, the more people are aware of it, the more perhaps people understand what ALS is and get a diagnosis sooner.
Mm-hmm. So by coming together at the walk, by the way, is held at Kapiolani Park.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Kapiolani Park, and it's a morning event, a 2-mile walk. Taryn, share a little bit about it with us.
It's really wonderful. It's a chance where people from all over Hawaii and even people from the mainland come, families, people who are visiting and have ALS family members back on the mainland, they come and join us. We had 4 families from Kauai come, families from Maui come, and we all united together as a one loud voice that we're here and we need a cure. And so together we're strong and we celebrate our lives and our friends who have ALS, their lives, and the families who work and the caregivers. And it's a big celebration and it's embracing, it's wonderful, it's just wonderful.
Thank you, thank you. Jeff, you actually reached out, like you said, you reached out to the media, you reached out to a local station manager from the TV, you reached out to the print media, you had articles written. Did you picture yourself several years ago doing this kind of advocacy?
Well, I would have never pictured it even after I was diagnosed. It was just an opportunity to help. I didn't think that even when I reached out that I would be the one that was interviewed every time, but it was fun. It was, the reception was great. It was nice to be able to have been afforded the opportunity to help spread that awareness. And I think there were others, family members affected by ALS who also did the same thing, coming on radio shows, other news shows in the week prior to the walk. So, in the end, it was a team effort, and I think it worked out well. But like you said, I would have never pictured myself doing this.
Well, thank you for doing it. We appreciate it. I noticed that at the walk itself, as we got together and we had the families come together and we had the different tents set up and the picnic set up, it was just a great feeling to watch the families get together, to network with one another, be it if they were newly diagnosed, if they had lost a family member, whatever the case was. It was a great chance for people to come together. And it's funny now when Taryn and I go out and we talk to different people, they'll ask about, oh, how's so-and-so doing? Or have you talked to so-and-so? And have you seen so-and-so? And it's a nice ohana, a nice family that we all come together and we all share that with one another. looking back at the year, I think that there's been a lot of growth within the chapter. I think that we've all worked together to come to have these goals, and you know, I think whether you're military or not non-military, I think that we all have the same goal, and we're all aiming for a cure for this disease. It's a hard disease.
And I would like to say that the neighbor islands, we have a lot more work to do on the neighbor islands to bring them in and help them out. So that's a big focus for this year coming up as well.
Yeah, we need to include everybody in that. Thank you. I'd like to thank all of my guests today. It's through the efforts of people like yourself, going out there, sharing your stories, talking to the public and the policymakers, that we can make a difference. It's only together that we can defeat ALS.